Hello and welcome to Simply inTAXicating. In today's program, we are going to focus on the black money issue, which has been the most burning issue India has witnessed to in the last several years. To provide you insightful analysis and the various dimensions of the black money issue, we have several guests who will be joining us. In this studio, we have former Joint Secretary TPL and Foreign Taxation and now Consulting Editor Tax India International, Mr. DP Sengupta. Other guests who will be joining us during the course of the program, the former CBDT member Mr. SS Khan, the former CBEC member Mr. A K Raha, direct tax partner of video consulting Mr. Partho Gupta. To deal with the issue of black money, the Indian Finance Minister Mr. Arun Jaitley in his budget speech has proposed a new legislation which is expected to be tabled very soon in the parliament. While rushing through his budget speech, Mr. Jaitley touched upon several key features of the brand new law, which appears to be banking heavily on fear psychosis to be generated by a complex matrix of penal provisions, including rigorous imprisonment up to 10 years. Before we discuss the various aspects of the Finance Minister's proposal, let us go to former CBDT member Mr. Khan to find out whether the statutory powers coupled with the machinery provisions under the existing Income Tax Act are not adequate enough to deal with the issue of black money, and India really needs a new independent legislation to fix this problem.
Now, if you look at the features of that proposed legislation, the Finance Minister says that number one, it will apply only with reference to tax evasion of foreign assets or foreign income. The crucial 2 points are number one, that the bill will declare that tax evasion with reference to foreign assets will become a predicate offence under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. That's a distinguishing feature. Other key feature is that he says that if it is not possible to recover the foreign income, the undisclosed foreign assets or foreign income, then an equal amount of Indian assets of that tax evader will be attached and recovery can be made from that. These are the two critical distinguishing features. Now let's come to the second part of your question, whether the same thing could not be achieved through the Income Tax Act. Now, under the Income Tax Act, evasion of income by an Indian tax resident, whether in India or outside India, is an offence, and it is punishable both with penalty of 300% maximum as well as prosecution with penalty with rigorous imprisonment up to 7 years. Now, if you say that instead of 7 years for foreign evasion, it will be 10 years, then yes, that's a little improvement. But other than that, all the first 4 or 5 points which the Finance Minister has listed with reference to foreign assets are already covered under the Income Tax Act. The two things which are not covered is the predicate offence under PMLA, for which you need to amend PMLA. You don't need a new black money law. You need to amend PMLA to make tax evasion with reference to foreign assets as a predicate offence. The other point, recovery of equivalent Indian assets, that is possible even otherwise under the current Income Tax Act. If foreign assets have been discovered and tax demand has been raised with reference to those foreign assets, and it is not possible to reach those foreign assets, it is certainly possible to recover that tax demand from Indian assets, disclosed assets. So I don't think that's any difference. Yes.
Sir, given the reality that the government is ready with the black money bill, do you see some jurisdictional problem cropping up under the new law and the Income Tax Act?
In fact, I have a bigger worry on it. Now, if you have a Income Tax Act as well as a parallel black money law, which operate now, Income Tax Act operates on both domestic assets as well as foreign assets, and this proposed black money law will operate only on foreign assets. Now, you may have this problem of two legislations operating on overlapping on certain offences. So how this will actually work out in practice, I mean, we'll have to see. I can't say at this point.
So, do you really think that the proposed measures are going to be effective enough in fixing the black money problem?
I think we'll have to go back to some of the basics of this black money story. Now, black money has four aspects. One is generation. The other is holding or conversion of black money into white money. Third is detection of that black money and undisclosed asset. And finally, fourth piece in this puzzle is the prosecution or the penalty or recovery of assets. Now, what is being proposed is to tackle the last piece, that is prosecution, recovery, penalty, etc., etc. For attacking generation of black money, I don't think there are too many proposals in this budget speech or even in the finance bill. As regards holding of black money, whether in domestic or foreign, now we have seen things like ostentatious expenditure, election funding, political funding of political parties, etc., etc. I don't see anything very big there either. Then we come to detection. Now, detection requires that information should be flowing in timely in substantive measures to the agencies which are enforcing. On information front, something has happened over last 2-3 years, including all those amendment to DTAs, TIEAs, etc., 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 etc. Now, without this information coming in, penalties or prosecutions are meaningless. We have seen that. I mean, legal provisions may be there, but if you do not have evidence, you do not have information, they don't serve any.
Sir, how serious is the problem of trade mispricing in India?
You would also perhaps be aware, government has appointed those 3 committees to study the problem of black money. I mean, those think tanks and IPFP, etc., were asked to carry out those studies. Those reports, I believe, have given very substantive recommendations on this issue, particularly on trade mispricing, and other issues. Somehow, for reasons to which I am not privy, government has not published those reports. They are not in public domain. Trade pricing is certainly one of the biggest areas, both for taking the money outside India and bringing the money inside India, and curbing that will have really serious implication. Now, the way we are trying to encourage FDI, unfortunately, those issues get mixed up, and any effort to curb money going out and money coming in gets mixed up by concessions being allowed and leeways being given for foreign investments coming into India. So that's a big issue in itself.
One of the key features of the new law on black money is going to be the harsh treatment being proposed to deal with the problem of laundering of black money. Let us hear Mr. A K Raha on this issue.
Black money is income tax subject, laundering is enforcement subject. Totally different concepts. Now he uses the term laundering of black money. By that he is introducing a fiction, and that fiction was necessary to get foreign assistance. Mind you that laundering of black money, this expression is only in relation to investigation in foreign country. In regard to foreign account holding and foreign asset holding, not in India as such. Now, if there was no dimming concept or no fiction as such, it was a Herculean task for the government of India to get any assistance whatsoever from a foreign country like Switzerland, Germany, etc. See, the first thing, the first precondition for international assistance in a crime is either there should be mutuality of offence. Now, mutuality of offence means it is offence in India as also in that country. Or alternately, there should be bilateral agreement. Now, even in a bilateral agreement scenario, first of all, Government of India has to discharge its onus that is a black money taxable in India. It presupposes that the income has arisen in India and is taxable in India. Now, assuming in a situation where an Indian entity has some business activities outside India and the money has come from one foreign account into another foreign account. Now, in that scenario, it will not be possible for Indian government to discharge the first onus that income or the source of that fund has arisen in India and is taxable in India, because the person targeted can always get away by saying that, look, I have business activities outside India, this money has not come from India. In any case, no such black money will come through bank channel from India to abroad. So, this money has come, obviously, evidently, if not prima facie, from a foreign account, another foreign account, and it may be sale proceeds of my some of my foreign transactions or trading. So, how it is taxable in India? So, most of the time Government of India is failing in discharging the initial burden, and it's taking a very long time for the government, to satisfy the preliminary requirement so as to receive assistance from foreign country. Now, by introducing this bill, now if it is carried out and carried into act, you see, the moment the person, the Indian, assessing entity or taxpayer, he does not declare all these things, all this income or transactions in his return, the offence is committed. And the presumption will be that he has committed an offence of laundering of black money or whatever you say.
Correct.
Now, the moment laundering comes into play, you see, Government of India or India as a state, being a member country of Financial Action Task Force, where 36 members are there, can solicit assistance not only in sharing of information, but also in investigation from a country like Switzerland, which is also a member.
Let us also hear Mr. Partho Gupta on the same issue.
See, currently today, once the bill comes in, the prevention of money laundering bills comes in, or the one has to look into it, but prima facie there is the idea of the government is to generate a lot of scare within the community, so that the people starts getting scared of generating black money. Like in some of the countries in the world, if you do some illegal things, there is a very capital kind of punishments. So, in our country probably we cannot do a capital punishment like that, but it will generate a kind of a scare among the people who creates the black money. So, that will help, at least if you are very scared, then you start, I am very scared, I will not do it, let me pay the taxes and my life be happy. Right. That is what probably the intention of the government.
Now that the black money legislation is on the cards, will the government also go for an amnesty scheme rolled into it? Let us hear Mr. Khan how he looks at its possibility.
What I am hearing is this new disclosure scheme, or whatever they want to call it. The government is very cagey in calling it a disclosure scheme. They are not even calling it an amnesty scheme. What I have heard, that we will provide a window because such a strict law is coming, so therefore we will provide window. See, my experience, and I have studied the past 18 or 19 disclosure schemes that the government of India has come out with in last 45, 60, 50 years, starting from 1956, and they have been let me put it in rather stark words, signal failures. If you were trying to work if the objective was to unearth black money through those disclosure schemes, there have been significant failures. because the best of the scheme, which was probably the VDIS, the last VDIS, came out with something like 5% of GDP, whereas the most conservative estimate at that point in time was something like 30% of GDP. So, I mean, voluntary disclosure schemes in India have come in various avatars, and I don't think anything has succeeded. Only, I mean, see, they are also citing this, I mean, the disclosure scheme brought in by US IRS. But that came in a context. That is, they first, you know, arrested some of the functionaries of UBS Bank working in US. Then issued John Doe summons against the UBS Bank itself, obtained information from UBS Bank, and then forced that whoever wants to come. So out of that, people came. So my sense is that unless you have information, people do not come. Let us see, maybe this time it may be different, but I don't know.
Let us now move from the speculative turf of the proposed black money law and go to the Finance Bill 2015. Sir, to begin with, I would rather like to request you to tell us about whether some corresponding changes have been proposed in the Finance Bill.
In the Finance Bill, what we find is that there are just two provisions, two amendments relating to section 269 SS and section 269 T of the Income Tax Act. This amendment is also perhaps as a result of a Gujarat High Court decision in the case of Madhav Enterprises Private Limited, where the Gujarat High Court had confirmed the findings of the lower authority that money in that case, what happened was that the taxpayer had repaid certain monies in excess of rupees 20,000, and he claimed that these were repayment of advances that were given by someone for booking of shops. So this was the lower authorities held that these were not in the nature of loans and advances, and therefore section 269T will not apply. So in order to overcome that decision, the amendment has been now made in section 269 SS and 269T, where the no one will now be permitted to either obtain or repay any amount in excess of rupees 20,000 in respect of transactions in immovable property. So if someone says that I have received the money, I had earlier received some money as an advance for booking of flats that I have repaid, that will not be permitted. So that is the only provision relate in the from the direct taxes side in the Finance Bill.
So sir, apart from this, any other proposal has been made by the Finance Minister?
Again, the Finance Minister in his budget speech has mentioned that the quoting of PAN will be made mandatory in respect of transactions in excess of rupees 1 lakh.
Right, sir. Okay.
That
with respect to immovable property only, sir?
No.
Any kind of transactions.
Any kind of transactions.
Right. Sir.
But it is not there. Most probably, this will come in the rule.
Right. Sir.
The other proposal that the FM has mentioned in his speech is third party information in relation to for purchase of foreign exchange.
Right, sir.
And cross border transactions.
Right, sir.
foreign exchange and cross-border transactions. But I do not find any provision in the section, in the third-party reporting transaction normally should be under section 285BA.
Right,
I don't find it. Probably it will again be part of the rules.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Right, sir. So, sir, do you think that these provisions are adequate enough to deal with this issue?
If we are talking of the problem of black money, which the FM has talked about as the essential pillar of his tax proposal,
right,
then we find that apart from these few proposals, there are nothing in the finance bill.
Right.
Of course, he has made some announcement in relation to the money stashed abroad. On the contrary, if you come to the finance bill per se, then on the contrary, we have the provision of GAR
Right.
being deferred by 2 more years.
Right,
Now, generation and circulation of black money in the form of investments through Mauritius will therefore continue.
So, there are not many substantive amendments proposed in the Finance Bill 2015 to deal with the problem of black money, and it is probably because the government is going to come up with a new law. Before we conclude the debate, let us hear the noted politician and former cabinet minister Mr. Subramanian Swamy, who spoke at length on this issue recently at the Press Club of India in Delhi.
I totally agree that this Direct Tax Avoidance Act, DTAA, has got nothing to do with bringing black money back. There are only 3 other methods by which you can bring black money. One is the German-French method, which is bribe the senior most official of a bank and get their names. So the Germans bribed by paying $500 million to a Liechtenstein senior official, gave him a US identity, US citizenship and plastic surgery to change his face so that he could live with $500 million happily ever after in America. And he gave that whole CD, out of which they selected by countries and they gave it to India. India was the only country that didn't want it, but thanks to Mr. Jethmalani's case, this had to be brought back. The French also did the same thing with Hong Kong Shanghai Bank, but they didn't have to pay $500 million because the senior most bank official of the Hong Kong Shanghai Bank was an Italian and they were ready to settle for less. So $200 million was all that had to be paid. So they brought it back also by bribery. So one of the ways is bribery. The second way, which a gutsy government can do, is the American way. They found 5,627 Americans had been banking illegally through 2 banks, Union Bank of Switzerland and Credit Suisse. So they called up the Washington branch of the head of the Washington branch of the Union Bank of Switzerland and Credit Suisse. And the Treasury Department said, we know that you have got American illegal accounts, and under our Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, etc., these are things you can't do. So please give us the names. And the bank chiefs of these 2 branches said, we can't do that because our business depends on secrecy. So sorry, we can't give you the names. So the Americans that evening arrested both of them under espionage and put them in rigorous imprisonment, and within 2 days those 2 banks gave all the 5,627 American names to the American authorities. We also have got in Bombay the Union Bank of Switzerland branch as well as Credit Suisse. And we as a government Black money is a cancer on your society. It is a threat to your national security. So you can definitely arrest the officials of these banks under espionage and get it out. Now, whether our government will do that today, tomorrow, day after, but a lot of us are working quietly. Jethmalani is sending his cannon shots, but we are doing guerrilla warfare inside the party to see that this is achieved. But it's not so simple. But the best way to bring it back, according to me, is what Jethmalani mentioned but didn't develop. But I have discussed this at detail with Pali Nariman, and that is to work on the resolution which he mentioned, 2005, the resolution on corruption of the United Nations General Assembly, which enables a government to ask for money from all the 90 tax havens on the ground that you have nationalized the accounts of all Indians, and therefore it is the money of the government of India. And that is the method that has been used for Gaddafi and for Marcos, not Gaddafi and for Mubarak. That is the best way, in my opinion, to do it. The government should issue an ordinance, because why have a discussion on it? You can have a discussion 6 months later. No party is going to oppose this kind of ordinance anyway. And nationalize all the accounts that are held by Indians in 90 or 70, whatever number countries which are tax havens, and then ask each country, your ambassador or whoever is there, to ask for that money to be transferred, and by that resolution, if ratified, they are obliged to give you, and that ends the secrecy. That is what Jethmalani mentioned about secrecy. The secrecy ends with that, and therefore they have to give it to you, and you can get all the money that is abroad back. This can be done in a period of 6 months.
Going by Mr. Swamy, nationalization is perhaps the most effective way to bring back the Indian money parked in tax haven. If you go by the views of other experts like Mr. Khan, who has closely studied the voluntary disclosure schemes, no amnesty scheme is going to work in India. He also feels that when there are enough provisions in the present Income Tax Act, there is no need for a separate legislation, and the existing Income Tax Act could have been strengthened to deal with this problem. Apart from the recovery of the lost wealth of India, the government also needs to adopt a holistic approach to hammer all the 4 components of black money problem: the generation, the conversion, the detection, and the recovery and penalty. This is the only surest way to fix this problem. Thank you, Mr. Khan, Mr. Raha, Mr. Partho Gupta, for sharing your insightful views on this issue, how to fix this problem of black money, and also thanking you, sir, for your wonderful inputs to this debate. Thanking you all for watching Simply Intaxicating.